What's up everybody, it's Sean here and I'm back today to give you guys a review of the Air Jordan 40 in the classic colorway. 40 signature shoes. That's what Nike and Michael Jordan have accomplished together. And just by counting all the signature sneakers, it really makes me feel super old. The first Air Jordan that I ever got was the original Air Jordan 12 playoffs. I was just a kid, but to live through every single signature shoe release over the years, it really puts things into perspective that we're now in the 40th model with this debut colorway called the Classic. So the Air Jordan 40 dropped here in Canada on July 12th. They retailed for a price of $205 US or $260 here in Canada, which when you look at it from a price versus technology ratio, I think you get a lot more for your dollar for these versus the retros, but that's a whole different discussion. And the design of the shoe, I know it has people pretty split. A lot of people are saying that it looks very plain and that it looks kind of like a Fear of God Adidas shoe. But this silhouette, I have to say, is probably the most excited I've been for a Air Jordan signature model for a long time. Maybe it's because I pretty much only wear Jordans casually, and because this shoe looks like it could be worn so well as a everyday casual use sneaker, that's maybe part of the reason why I was drawn so much to it. But on that note, this review is coming strictly from the casual user's perspective, so if you're looking for an actual in-depth performance review where these are worn on a basketball court, unfortunately you're not going to find that on this channel, but there's tons of other reviews of the Jordan 40 on YouTube, so pop over to those channels if you're looking for an actual performance review. Before I forget, the official colorway for this shoe is white, vast gray, and black. And I love the simplicity of this colorway. As a debut colorway for the model, I thought they played it smart, giving us something very versatile and something that would attract a wide array of people. And I'm hoping to see some more fun and vibrant colorways down the pipeline. So first things first, here's a quick look at the box. So as you can see, this is a brand new design box just for the Air Jordan 40. It's all done in black. We have a small red colored Jumpman in the center of the lid. And then aside from that, we just have the label on one side, and then that's pretty much all there is to it. So just like the shoe, it's very simple, but the fact that it is a brand new design box, that part I'm happy with. So jumping into the details of the shoe itself, it goes without saying that being in the Air Jordan 40, it's inevitable that they're gonna draw inspiration from some of the past Air Jordan signature models. And I'm not gonna pretend that I'm the utmost Air Jordan expert out there, so I'm sure there's tons of references that I'm gonna miss. So for that reason, I'm not even gonna attempt to point out every single reference to past models. I know Chris from Wear Testers did an amazing job on his review. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable Air Jordan heads out there, so I highly recommend you guys check out his review if you want to specifically see how design aspects of the Jordan 40 are tied to those past models. So first things first, as we start things off with the toe box, this is covered in a very delicate feeling leather, and it's like a very flat nubuck, and it's done in a slightly off-white, light gray color. So it has a very raw, untreated feel to it, which feels very luxurious, but at the same time, I'm concerned about the durability of this specific material. Not only on the basketball court, but even just wearing these casually, I imagine these are gonna get scuffed pretty easily. And you'll notice how the edges of this nubuck layer, it's rolled and then stitched down, so you don't actually see the stitching where it connects to the white leather, which again gives it more of a luxurious finish. Covering the side panels of the shoe, here we have a slightly tumbled white colored leather, and this also feels very luxurious to the touch. This isn't the best leather I've ever seen, but it definitely is a decent cut of leather. You can see those natural leather grains all across. Running down the bottom on this panel, we have this horizontal rib layer, which is something we've seen before on the eyelets area of the Air Jordan 14. Running along the sides of the tongue, here we have a black colored synthetic nubuck, but then the eyelets themselves are constructed out of this black colored nylon. It has these reflective strips in the center, and this pays homage to the Air Jordan 10. So these hidden eyelets, if you pull them open, you can see a bunch of dates. So for example, you can see his NCAA title with UNC, his first three-peat in the NBA, there's references to the '92 Summer Olympics where he won the gold medal, and of course his second three-peat with the Bulls. The top two eyelets are covered in this black colored TPU. And then the laces themselves, these are these flat style black laces with reflective hits all throughout. Underneath this, the tongue is also given this reflective treatment, so it has strands of reflective 3M all throughout. And then the top of the tongue is also reflective. It features an embroidered white colored Jumpman in the center, and it has a ribbed finish to it, which is a modified take on the classic Air Jordan Wings logo. The back of the tongue is covered in this tan colored synthetic material, which feels decently soft to the touch. It has these perforations all across, along with Air Jordan 40 branding and the sizing. And then the tongue is held down to the sides of the shoe using the stretchy neoprene-like material, giving the shoe a very snug sock-like fit. On the interior of the back half of the shoe, we have this shiny black colored synthetic leather, and then the secondary layer inside. This is actually pretty well padded. It feels like a pretty dense foam, and it's covered in a silky smooth black colored nylon-like material. And then for the insoles, they're pretty well padded. They're covered in a black mesh on top, and then pressed onto the heel we have Air Jordan 40 branding, along with the words quality basketball products inspired by the greatest of all time, which is something we've seen before on models like the Air Jordan 11. On the medial side of the ankle collar area, you'll see this cluster of perforations with a reflective layer underneath. This draws inspiration from the Air Jordan 6. And the medial side is a little bit higher cut on the ankle area compared to the lateral side, which dips a little bit lower. This is again something we've seen before on past Jordans like the Jordan 5, 13, and 14. On the exterior facing side of the inner collar area, this is covered in a synthetic black layer which has a bit of a shine to it, and we have the stylized 40 branding debossed in the center. Along the mid panel of the medial side, we also have these visible air vents, which is done in this golden color and has a bit of an iridescent finish to it, depending on the angle that you're looking at it from. And this air vent feature on the medial side, this is again something we've seen on models like the Air Jordan 14. On the bottom of the heel, we have this large TPU heel clip with Nike Air branding on it. This draws inspiration from the Air Jordan 3, but that splatter paint underneath it, this reminds me of the white cement 4s. So the upper of the Air Jordan 40, this features a midsole that's constructed out of Zoom X technology, easily one of Nike's most lightweight and responsive foams. However, above this, instead of a typical Strobel board, it features a full-length Air Zoom or Zoom Air Strobel, which sits right underneath the insole. So if I remove the insole, you can see that full-length Zoom Air. So that's pretty much making direct contact with your foot. So you can see on the midsole itself, we have Zoom X branding, we have Air Jordan 40 branding on the medial side, along with Air Zoom branding on the medial forefoot as well. Turning the shoe over to the bottom, so the outsole here is crafted out of 3 types of rubber. We have more of a smoky or milky type of rubber, which covers predominantly the forefoot. We have a Jumpman which creeps along to the top of the shoe, which is something we've seen on the Air Jordan 12. The traction pattern itself, it's supposed to be like a herringbone style traction pattern, featuring these lines which are at a 40-degree angle. And then along the center, we have this white colored rubber with 40 branding in the middle. And then on the heel, this triangular cutout of rubber, this is done more of a cream or off-white color. So that breaks down the look and the construction of the Air Jordan 40. And for those wondering about how these fit, I have to say this is a very snug fitting sneaker. So in my case, I'm a true size 10. My feet are a little bit on the wider side. I usually wear a size 10 in models like the Air Jordan 1, Air Jordan 2, 3, most of my Air Jordan 4s, and I sometimes go down to a 9.5 in certain models like the Air Jordan 6, and occasionally the Air Jordan 7 depending on how it fits. But for this shoe, I tried on both a size 10 and a 10.5, which is a half size up. The 10 was pretty much unwearable, it was just so snug along the toe box, whereas going up to the 10.5, it felt a lot more comfortable for me, so that's the size that I ended up sticking with. I actually even know some people that tried on half size up, and even for them, that was still too snug. So I feel like if you have like a really wide foot, I'd probably recommend staying away from this model. If you have a narrow or normal width foot, and if you'd like a really snug one-to-one fit, maybe you can go true to size. But for the majority of people out there, I'd recommend going up at least half a size. It's a different feeling than, for example, an Air Jordan 4, where Jordan 4s, sometimes I go up half a size because the toe box area, specifically around the pinky toe area, that can cause some chafing. But for this, it just feels a lot more shallow, and it's just like a feeling that the material is just clamping down all across your toes. So it's not necessarily just one specific area like your pinky, it just has more of an overall snug feel. Moving on to the comfort, so again, I wore these strictly for casual use. I didn't play ball in them, but from a casual user's perspective, this is a very comfortable sneaker. The Zoom X in combination with the Air Zoom, it gives you a decent plushness, especially underneath the heel. So if you put your weight backwards onto your heels, it just has a really nice, soft, but not mushy feel. The forefoot definitely feels more responsive, a bit more low to the ground, and I can see why this would be an excellent shoe for the court, but again, for casual use, it feels nice and pillowy without being too stacked and high off the ground. And of course, it doesn't lose the responsiveness and bounciness with that Air Zoom underneath your foot. So assuming you can get the sizing correct, and assuming you don't have like a really wide foot, I think you're gonna enjoy how these feel. Finally, in terms of the quality and the craftsmanship. So first off, material quality, even though they utilize some synthetic materials, for the genuine nubucks or suedes and the leather that they give us, I was very happy with this. This being the Jordan 40, I didn't expect anything less from Jordan brand. Can you imagine if they gave us the 40 and it was covered in just all synthetic materials? That would have been such a slap in the face. But they really delivered well with the materials. This feels like a very premium product, and I thought the build of the shoe, for the most part, reflected that too. Yes, there were some glue stains on my shoe. Yes, there were a couple minor blemishes on the nubuck or suede on the toe box, but generally speaking, the overall build was pretty decent. The panels were, for the most part, consistent between my left and right feet, and everything just seemed to be put together pretty well. So all in all, I think Jordan brand and the factory did a great job on the Jordan 40, and the fact that as an end consumer, when I take these out of the box, it just feels special and it just feels more elevated. I think they really accomplished what they were going for. So with all of that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet, I'll lace them up, and I'll show you guys how these look. Call me old, call me mature, whatever you want to say, but I'm digging the design of the Jordan 40. Yes, it's not loud. Yes, it's not in your face, and it doesn't really introduce something that's entirely new per se, but I think this is a really great option for Jordan heads that don't want to rock something that's over the top. It has a very classy, mature look to it, and like I mentioned from the start, it's a shoe that I think looks great both on the court and off the court. So I'm personally really excited to see what future colorways come down the pipeline. This is a great debut colorway though, and this is definitely a shoe that I'm keeping in my collection. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this Air Jordan 40 in the debut, the classic colorway? What are your overall thoughts on this shoe? Did you also pick these up? Are you kind of on the fence, or are you just not feeling the design, which is totally fine? Leave your thoughts all down below. As usual, if you guys enjoyed this review, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I'll link my social media accounts down below for you guys to follow. And as usual, thank you for your continued love and support. Hopefully you guys enjoy this review, and I'll catch you all in my next video.